I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor. This week, the left downplays the inflation pain Americans have endured for the last 3 years. For the last 3 years, the conversation surrounding inflation has been a fascinating one. Left-leaning economists and policymakers insist that inflation would not occur, despite creating trillions of dollars in new money, spending trillions of dollars in new money, and shutting down the economy. When inflation was showing signs of popping up, they downplayed it and suggested that it is actually a good thing for the US economy. Some, such as Paul Krugman, argue that inflation only hurts the wealthy, and low and middle income people would not feel the pain of price pressures. By the time inflation started soaring, fiscal and monetary officials started taking action but refused to take the blame and admit how much they missed the ball. In fact, they started finding scapegoats instead, be it mom and pop gasoline stations or foreign governments. And now that the annual inflation rate has slowed to 4%, this does not mean that inflation has fallen, but the rate of inflation growth has slowed. There's a chorus of economists and market analysts presenting the case that people who are complaining about rampant inflation are simply crybabies, and any data that contradicts their narrative is incorrect or partisan. The person most guilty of this is Keynesian economist Paul Krugman. Krugman has taken to Twitter in recent days to essentially argue or retweet a couple of things. First, inflation was a big shock. It wasn't. Surveys conveying Americans' thoughts about inflation are incorrect or skewed. They aren't. And any information that depicts the economy in a negative light should not be believed because the country is in excellent shape. This is laughable. Liberty Nation has extensive reporting on the current economic landscape, so be sure to check out our terrific coverage and see what the state of the economy truly is. But on the issue of inflation and that Americans should just suck it up,
it's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
If you scan the Twitterverse, you see quite a lot of the sentiment, be it Paul Krugman or the Krasenstein brothers. They have been so flippant about inflation, saying that it's only been a couple of bad years of higher prices, as if it were only 2.5% and it impacted avocado and toast. Even during the previous election cycle, there were many prominent left-leaning individuals saying that economic cycles happen and that the country should not risk democracy because of rampant inflation. Remember, real wages, inflation adjusted, has been in negative territory for 26 consecutive months. Half the country's living paycheck to paycheck. Pandemic-era savings are expected to be completely exhausted by the fall. 8 million Americans are working 2 or more jobs to keep their heads above water. Many consumers are turning to buy now, pay later services and credit cards to pay for their grocery bills. Krugman and his allies might dismiss consumer surveys painting a negative portrait of the economy, but if people are reporting that they are struggling to stick it to one party or another, then why should any other study be considered reliable sources of information? The experts might have their reasons for dismissing inflation, but it is the most odious tax around. It strips your purchasing power, it eats away into your earnings, it threatens your future, and it makes life more unaffordable. Inflation is a serious matter. It is not merely an economics issue, it is a question of morality as well, as the government or the central bank produces new units of currency that effectively eviscerates the value of your hard-earned dollars. Sure, Biden inflation has been a chief tenet of Bidenomics, but also inflation is a chief tenet of the Leviathan. Rather than accept that inflation is an iniquitous entity, the unserious people are coming to the defense of Bidenomics and gaslighting the public. Like Chico Marx's famous line in Duck Soup, "Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes?" One word, sad. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column on the pages of LibertyNation.com, where I discussed the June jobs report, interest payments, and the state of bank lending today. Thank you.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.
I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.